What a beautiful day. The sun is shining, the Siltstriders are moaning. Nothing could ruin this lovely afternoon.
I detect potential in his blood. Dispatch one of my hounds and let it carry a blessing to my chosen.
Nothing at all. Not even... Oh, hello, sir. You seem to be enjoying this day quite a bit more than me.
A disappointing display, but such is to be expected from mortals. My blessing will serve him well.
I should be safe here. I'll hike to town in the morning, when the rain stops. Huh. I don't think the Balmora Temple can help me with this. In Daggerfall, werewolves are stupidly overpowered. In Skyrim, you have an entire perk tree devoted to both werewolves and vampires. And in Oblivion, you can't be a werewolf. There aren't any. Werewolves weren't in Lord of the Rings, so they didn't get to be in Oblivion. What's that? There are werewolves in Lord of the Rings, but they're not in the movies. Well, my point still stands. In Morrowind, unlike vampirism, you aren't hated by everyone.
We're watching you, scum.
At least not by default. No one knows you're a werewolf unless someone sees you transform, and if they do, they telepathically inform the entire sapient population of Vardenfell. Further proof that Corpus has already mildly infected everyone and created some form of a hive mind? I doubt it. Unlike Skyrim, transforming into a werewolf isn't a choice in Morrowind. Not without a bit of work, at least. Being blessed by Hircine means every night at 8 p.m, you transform into a werewolf and must kill at least one humanoid to satiate your bloodlust before sunrise. If you don't, when you transform back, you risk losing too much health and dying. I think that's the way it works, at least. It never really caused much of a problem, honestly, so I'm not totally sure. Just kill a man before sunrise and you should be fine. So there's some difficulty in managing the disease. You gotta make sure you're far from witnesses when the sun sets, you gotta find inconsequential NPCs to kill every night, and you have to be careful that sunset doesn't occur while traveling on a Siltstrider or on a boat. Yeah, they'll take you to where you want to go, but they'll drop you off as a werewolf and then tell everyone what happened. Taxi drivers can't keep a secret. You wouldn't think having a well-organized schedule was a requirement for being an effective wolfman, but such is the nature of things. It looks glamorous from the outside, but once you're in it, it's more busy work than anything else. Just like real life. But unlike real life, I hope, as a werewolf, you're an unstoppable killing machine. Health doubled. Skills boosted. Attributes absurd. Carry weight ignored. Movement speed increased. Claw damage 125. Unbothered. Moisturized. Staying in everyone's lane. Step aside. I'm a werewolf on a mission. Our actual stats and skills don't matter because they don't affect you in werewolf form, and also my name is Shark Boy. It has a tenuous link to this character, but I won't say what it is. Mysteries abound. Try to figure it out. So let's skip some of the starting nonsense. I ran around the cities, gathered up items to sell for gold, completed Edwina Albert's first few quests to get a pair of intervention amulets, bought an amulet of recall from Vergemain, and went over to Narmok to absolutely terrorize the caverns of Sharonball to claim an amulet of Mark. The NPCs in Vardenfell, especially in these low-level areas, not only don't do much damage to a werewolf, even with the difficulty turned up to 100, but they mostly just run in fear. I get it, but it's not super interesting to watch, which is why I'm summarizing this up rather quickly. Killing that scamp in Huline's hut did give me a bit of grief, however. Not because the scamp was difficult, but because transforming into a werewolf near Margon without witnesses was tough. There's a camp of bandits near the hut, and they aggroed me so I couldn't rest and turn into a werewolf until I got far enough away from them. But to do that quickly, I'd have to travel away from Margon via Siltstrider, then transform in the wilds outside of, say, Outrun. But werewolves, if you didn't know, get motion sick when using taxi services, and also Siltstrider pilots are bigoted against bloodthirsty abominations spawned from the loins of a deer-headed Daedric prince and won't take us anyway. Needless to say, I had to run from Aldrun to Margon as a werewolf. Fortunately, werewolves are very fast. The final thing I did before heading off to Solstheim was drinking from the bitter cup. You don't gain experience while you're a good boy, so leveling is more of a deliberate process. This is an easy way to boost my endurance without having to grind out any levels. I bought some Cheyenne from Arwen Satanine, which lowers intelligence and boosts endurance, making it so when I drink from the bitter cup, it will permanently decrease my intelligence and increase my endurance by 20 points each. Werewolf needs stamina. Werewolf not need thinkies. What was it like fighting the skeletons? Well, I'm a dog. How do you think fighting a bunch of bones went? And here we are in Solstheim, finally ready to answer the call of Daddy Hircine. What task could he possibly have for me? Surely it's not just defeating his aspect and putting an end to the Blood Moon prophecy that will unleash scores of his hounds upon the entire island. Why would he want me to foil his plans? Unless, perhaps it's a test. We'll just have to see. Our journey here starts like any other, bribing soldiers with booze to figure out why they're so damn grumpy. It's because the captain banned alcohol, or so they believe. The truth is, the shipments of alcohol, and just the shipments of alcohol, have stopped arriving at the fort. The fort's priest, Antonius Nuncius, a self-righteous teetotaler who doesn't understand the comfort a modest amount of alcohol can bring soldiers stationed at the end of the world, has absolutely nothing to do with the missing shipments. Why would you even think of such a thing? Oh, well, if we go to his office and steal his desk key, then violate his Fourth Amendment rights because the world, even fantasy worlds, is America, we find he's got a stash of booze. His fate doesn't matter to us, because we're a child of the hunt. We'll tattletale on this teetotaler and tell... Whoa. Personal space, man. You think you can just enter me because I recalled into your private quarters? Slow your roll there, fella. Third date. At least. With the mystery of the missing alcohol sorted and Antonius receiving the punishment of getting put on latrine duty or being hanged for insubordination, probably somewhere in between, I wasn't really listening. It's hard to focus when half your mind is occupied with potential places and people to pee in and on. Fourth date? Khajiit werewolf, what can you do? Half cat, half dog, half man. What chaos? Anyway, smuggled weapons. There are some folk in the Gandrung caverns who have a noticeable lack of claw marks on their faces and chests. Way easier than my first Blood Moon at level 1 escapade. In one of those runs, I started as a man-eating beast that came into being due to the metaphysical desires of a spiritual entity as old as time. In the other run, I started as a werewolf. So the Blood Moon main quest changes abruptly after you deal with the smugglers. You return to the fort, and it's been attacked by wolf monsters. What could those possibly be? The soldier who doesn't accompany you to the caverns gives you a skull and sends you to the Skull village to get some information about what the hell happened. Also, the captain was kidnapped by the furry assault. Pretty realistic, it's why you never see military recruiters at furry conventions. Too dangerous for him. So I've heard. By the way, I know I've made a lot of furry jokes in the past, and I'm gonna make furry jokes in this video of varying subtlety. But just know, I have no problem with furries. The last group of people who should have a problem with furries is Elder Scrolls fans. Well, actually, the last group of people who should have a problem with furries is furries, but the second group of people who shouldn't have a problem with furries would be Elder Scrolls fans. Half the races in these games are furries, and I don't just mean the playable races. There's a whole list of animal people. There are more animal people than there are people in the Elder Scrolls games. You could argue, though, that humans are to apes what Khajiit are to cats. If cats were the dominant species on Earth, instead of cat girls, anime would be full of monkey girls. And just like that, we're here at the Skull Village. Skull in hand, and Tharston's happy to have it. He points us to the village shaman, Korst Windeye, so that we can get started restoring the oneness to the island. But when we talk to Korst, he says we've been infected too long and he senses the shadow of the beast upon us. A bit flirtatious if you ask me, or at least it would be if he didn't say we weren't welcome here right afterwards. So now what? Did I softlock Blood Moon's main quest? Can I not proceed with the shtick I had planned? What the hell is happening? Why aren't any of the Skull fighting these things? Tharston, help. Argonians. That's different. Werewolf. I am so confused. Okay, here's what we'll do. Divine Intervention back to Fort Frostmoth and find a safe place to transform into a werewolf. Then, I'll run back to the Skull Village again and kill all the werewolves running around the place. Maybe that'll make the Argonians turn into actual werewolves? I can kill them, then maybe carry on with the quest? Hopefully? I don't even know if lycanthropy is possible before the werewolves attack Skull Village, so I might have just screwed everything up.
Your master has a task for you, my hound.
Oh.
In the tombs of Skalara lies the totem of Claw and Fang. There, I wish it to remain. When the Skull come for it, hunt them down, kill them all, and protect the totem.
Okay, great. Stop the Skull from getting the totem of Claw and Fang in Skalara. Gotcha, my guy. Off to Skalara. I guess if you're trying to speedrun Blood Moon, your best bet may be to contract Sanie's lupinus as soon as possible. Let you skip all the Skull stuff and go straight to the Blood Moon prophecy quests. So, Papa Hircine's first task is for us to protect the totem. All we gotta do is kill the Skull in Skalara and not let them claim the totem from the chest at the end of the tomb. If they do loot it, you have a lot of time to chase them down and kill them, returning the totem to the chest magically.
A cure for your curse right here.
Imagine this from the Skull's point of view. Baldur just walked into that room and never came out. Rolf just walked into that room and never came out. Halfthor walked into that room, and a bestial snarl was overtaken by his blood-curdling scream, and also his bleeding corpses right there in front of me. I better go in and see what's all the hubbub.
You have performed well, Hound. The totem is undisturbed for now, and your master is pleased. I grant you this boon to aid you in your hunt.
Now the Skull are on their back foot, and our claws are stronger. 175 maximum damage instead of 125, and we await our next task. Let's sleep in the meantime. Take a little cat nap.
It is time to serve your master again. The totem was stolen while the Hound slept.
Oh, god damn it.
Prepare to hunt the spirit bear this night. Hunt the hunters and slay the beast.
Well, just because they got the totem doesn't mean all is lost. The Skull need the heart of the spirit bear, but if we interrupt their hunt and kill the bear ourselves, then it'll put them on their back foot. Again, I won't lie, the Skull are pretty damn strong. It's tough to sneak up on them since they spot you from so far away. They've got a ton of health, and as is usually the case, they kill me in 1 or 2 hits. Those silver weapons are quite potent against werewolves. They do eventually give up, and I can finish what Papa Hircine asked of me, killing the spirit bear. Now, where is it? Ah, there you are. Is this the good beast that you help in the Beast Stone quest? That's kind of a bummer. Time for another nap.
I have another task for you, Hound. There is a castle of ice to the north, under siege from within by renegade servants. I have need of the master of this castle, and I do not want him distracted by this foolishness. Go there, kill the rebels, and end the siege.
Dope. Kill everything in the castle. Nap time.
You have ended the siege at Castle Karstad, and your master is well pleased with your efforts. You have served me well, and I offer you this gift, the Hunter's Wind.
I'm a dog. I got more than enough wind. Hey Dad, how's it going? As a final task, a test. Hircine wants us to make it to the end of his maze of werewolves. Simple enough. Oh, Captain Carius. It's been like a few minutes. Hircine says you've been here for days, but oh, well, I did take a lot of naps. Dogs, am I right? I assume Hircine threw me in here not as a test of my physical prowess in overcoming the hordes of werewolves throughout the maze, but rather as a test of my resolve as an item of prey. I'm not the hunter in this maze. I've already proved myself a capable hunter of men, but such a feat is trivial when the odds are so heavily stacked in my favor. To understand what it means to be a hunter, one must feel the terror of the hunted. In this maze, Hircine is making sure I'm ready. For what? I couldn't say, but there's only one way for me to find out. Ah, Tharstan, a fellow hunter. Is there truly any hunter in a world of only hunters? Or are we all prey? Perhaps it is our nature as mortals to... Okay, philosophy dog isn't a sustainable bit. With Tharstan dead, Hircine's ring disappears from his finger. Ooh, okay, that was a close one. Our penultimate challenge is the frost giant Karstag. I wonder if we can one-shot him with a sneak attack. Oh, not quite. I know I don't have to bounce around the room like this to win the fight, but sometimes you just gotta let the zoomies out. Now it's time for the final test.
So, you are the one. You have escaped my hounds.
I am to be Hircine's prey, but because he's a good sport, he lets us choose which aspect of his will be hunting us. I'm going with the aspect of speed because, like myself, it's a good boy. Also, the amulet it drops fortifies athletics, speed, and acrobatics. Could be useful for whatever else Hircine has planned for us. It's really fun leaping around the room like this. It's so extra, but it makes the fight feel more dynamic.
Excellent work, my loyal hound. Your prowess as a hunter surpasses mere excellence. You are the embodiment of both predator and quarry. Yet one final challenge awaits you, a trial reserved for none but the most exceptional of my pack. It demands not only the ferocity of the wolf, but also the guile of the mortal. In the heart of Balmora, among the Dunmer's domain, lies a dwelling. Within its confines rests the lifeless form of one of my hunters. Mystical forces beyond mortal comprehension have ensnared him in this inert state. To return him to the sacred grounds of the hunt, he must be clad once more in the armor I had once bestowed upon him. Scattered across the expanse of Vardenfell are remnants of what mortals dare to name Daedric armor. Assemble these pieces upon Raylan's form, restore unto him that which I have gifted. This, my faithful hound, is your ultimate trial, the pursuit of the bloodless prey. Now go, and be swift, but don't mess with Dvaithfir. He's a lot. I don't need him poking around in my realm. Leave him alone.
He sounded different that time around, like someone was trying to imitate him by hiding the iffy impression behind too many layers of EQ and audio effects. Magic. How incredible. So Hircine wants us to collect a set of Daedric armor. Sounds easy enough, but where do we even begin? It's not like the Propylon indices where we can talk to an NPC, like Foam's Merrill, and get a hint for the general location of the next index. And even if we had hints, a lot of this gear is in the most obscure places in the game. Meanwhile, some other pieces are just sitting there on a pedestal, free for the taking. So obvious that you'd have to put in effort not to find them. Well, fortunately, my dog Schnoz lets me sniff out the gear real good. Smells a lot like UESP.net. The first piece of Daedric is back in Karstag's castle. We need to get to the very top and enter a secret opening on the roof. Levitation would make this easy, but I don't have any levitation potions or spells, and I don't feel like going back to the mainland to get any. Besides, have you ever heard of a werewolf flying? No. Werewolves don't fly. They jump good. You don't need a horse to scale a mountain. It'd be nice if I could loot stuff as a werewolf. Gotta turn back into Khajiit first. And here is the only Daedric right pauldron in the game, excluding what Dvaithfir is wearing. Before Blood Moon, you had to kill Fear to get it. Next stop, the Aundae vampire stronghold, Galum Deus. Time to see who the superior cursed monster is. Lycanthropes or those mewling batfolk?
I've fought wars more ferocious than you.
Ah, those clever rats with wings. Did you know that roughly a fifth of all known mammal species are bats? And even though they're associated with rodents, they're in the clade Scrotifera, which means they share a more recent common ancestor with cats and whales than they do rodents. Humans have a closer common ancestor with rats than rats do with bats. With how evolutionarily close we are to rodents, it's no surprise that we've learned that even the much maligned rat has the capacity to experience complex emotions like empathy and altruism. Ah, and here's our quarry. A pair of Daedric boots. Gotta revert back to cat form first, and I'll take those. I hate that it takes a good 15 seconds to unwolf yourself. You just kinda stand around like an idiot for some reason. I looked around for a mod that could make the transformation faster, but I couldn't find one. Dogs and cats are like the least patient creatures, and Bethesda's over here making them wait. There's a shield in this place too. A thing you'll notice with most Daedric gear is that it's either right out in the open, like the boots, or in the most inconvenient location. I need to get some levitation potions. You might be wondering why I'm getting this shield and not the superior Daedric tower shield. Well, something in my lycanthrope blood tells me that Hircine doesn't want a tower shield. Also, the only way to get a Daedric tower shield is by killing golden saints who spawn into the world with them, so I need to find some respawning golden saints, which don't show up until like level 14 or 15, or I have to summon them myself, but then if I summon them myself, I can't turn into a werewolf to kill them because I'd have to wait, and if I wait, they go away because they'd be a summoned familiar. He wants a regular shield, trust me. I know Hircine, he doesn't want he doesn't want a tower shield, okay? We cool? If we're not, tough shit. Running through that dungeon made me realize we might need to pick some high-level locks later. Rather than relying on luck, let's say we grab ourselves a lockpick that never fails. In Vivek's foreign quarter, behind the level 65 lock door in Simine Freylini's bookshop, is none other than Gentleman Jim Stacy, leader of the Thieves Guild. A friendly guy, all things considered, but I'm a hunter, not a thief. It's not stealing if they're dead. It's archaeology. That's 50 locks we can pick on the first try. Daedric armor is heavy as hell, so let's drop some of this off where Hircine told us to. The corpse of Raylan Hlalo, his so-called agent. Listen, I can't actually beat Morrowind as a werewolf. I can't cast spells as a werewolf. I can't use enchanted items as a werewolf. I can't equip Sundering Keening as a werewolf. So I had to do something with narrative relevance. Just roll with it, okay? First, we'll strip him of all this other crap and throw this gear into his inventory. NPCs will usually equip the most expensive stuff in their inventory, and that's why selling vendors expensive items causes them to put the items on immediately, and why you can get merchants to use Sunder and Keening. But Raylan's dead, so it's us that has to dress him. Some lore states that each piece of Daedric armor contains echoes of the Daedra tortured to make the equipment. So, the Wails of the Damned enhances the tonal architecture surrounding the body, and it warps itself into place around the appropriate body part. I don't know. Elder Scrolls lore is so up in the air that the line between fanfiction, headcanon, and official lore is preference. People are busy arguing about the lore implications of Season 1 of the Fallout series. Meanwhile, retcons are literally part of Elder Scrolls canon. Is Coda canon? Who cares? It's weird and confusing, and that's what makes Elder Scrolls fun. I do wish we had flying cocaine whales in Skyrim though. Our next stop on the hunt for Daedric armor should be a familiar place if you've ever been a Quara vampire, or if you watched my vampire video. The Dwemer ruins of Drskashti. Oop, nope, this is Bethungthums, the Law and Order ruins. You know, it's dun dun, Bethungthums. Drskashti is down the road. We got more Batmen in here, but the biggest threat are the traps on the doors. 60 seconds of weak poison ends up being a damn strong poison. I do kind of feel bad killing the cattle the vampires have trapped here, but I can't rest when they're around because they count as enemies nearby. It's a shame, and it's your fault, Volrina. As much as I'd like to sell the gear, do I really need the gold? She can keep it. I'll take the key though, might need it. You see, you can't pick locks as a werewolf, but you can use keys to open doors. Hello Kjeld, the only useful merchant among the Quara vampires, because you can repair stuff. That's literally all you can do. What we're looking for is in one of these locked chests. And of course, Kjeld doesn't have a key. Daedric Greaves. We got pants for Raylan, everyone. We got him a pair of pants. Since we're in the Ashlands just south of the Sheogorath region, it only makes sense to stop by Coggoran, kill some House Dagoth members, and grab the Daedric gauntlets in the basement. To hell with the Corpus Sweepings, to hell with the House Dagoth Cup, and to hell with the Shadow Shield. Zulmatul can figure all that out on his own. Actually, you know what? Gamer girl Azura is gonna have to find a new pawn. I'm siding with Mountain Man Hircine. These squid faces are no match for my wolf hands. Is Vvardenfell just the island of Dr. Moreau? Even this guy's an animal-human hybrid, but all that's left of the animal parts is the corpus. Obviously. Oh, this reminds me of rocket jumping in TF2, and then hitting somebody with a market gardener. It was the worst getting killed by market gardeners, because you never saw it coming. And when you did see it coming and they still got you, it's just embarrassing. Man, was it fun. Kinda crazy to think that TF2 came out only 5 years after Morrowind. I wish I could just use my claws as cartoony lockpicks and not have to de-wolf to pick the lock every single time. He's gonna be shocked when a werewolf walks back through in just a few hours.
You will be disgraced for this.
This isn't the first assassin to attack me, it's just the first one I've shown. And I like to think the Dark Brotherhood is sending out more assassins to retrieve the bodies of fallen assassins, and all of those assassins that they're finding are covered in claw marks, and they just keep assuming their agents are accidentally running into random wildlife while they're on a mission to kill me. Man, these Kagudi really are aggressive this time of year. Take some Kagudi mace with you, just to be safe, but it's an actual 6-pound mace. Well, here's the Shadow Shield, but we don't need that. And here are the gauntlets. Ain't they pretty? But we still got an Ash Vampire down in the dungeons. Gotta give him a spanking. For Daddy. Daddy Hircine. 2 pieces of Daedric equipment are in the ruins of Bamzam Shen, so we need to do a little bit of Tribunal's main quest. Kill some goblins and liches, talk to Almalexia a couple times, simple stuff. I wonder how Hircine feels about the Tribunal. Does he think they're usurpers deserving of punishment? Perhaps he commends their ambition, letting not even long-standing allegiances and friendships impede their hunt for power. Or maybe he doesn't care one bit. Mortals playing pretend. Or maybe, just maybe, he sees their existence as a way to spread his own sphere of influence to the other Daedra. With the rise of the Tribunal, it's the good Daedra who are forced to engage in their own hunt. The hunt for revenge. Or I'm thinking too much into it. Hircine probably just wants to chase shit and tear it apart. Not unlike what I'm doing to these goblins. But it's unwise to get too comfortable because all it takes is one claw swipe to get blocked, and the goblin will one-shot me. It may seem like I'm just rampaging through the sewers, and I am, it's quite cathartic, but I'm also down here for a reason. Fedris Halur wants me to kill 2 goblin war chiefs and their 2 ultimate trainers, and getting to them requires fighting through endless tunnels of goblins, which is a fantastic band name, or the title of a porn. A single sneak attack kills each war chief. No problem there. And it's fortunate that Altmer, canonically, are unable to see out of their right peripheral vision. Don't ask me why, ask Michael Kirkbride. Kim, Amaranth, Coda, Dragonbreak, Dreamsleeve, Mythopoeia. I said a bunch of buzzwords.
I shall enjoy watching you take your last breath.
You believe me? Now, Gavish Drin wants us to escort Ervil Dulny all the way down to the Shrine of the Dead so we can cleanse the evil off of it. I don't know about you, but escorting someone through a bunch of enemies, as a werewolf, sounds like a nightmare. I know if he dies after cleansing the shrine, you don't get the blessed spear as a reward. Who cares? But, apparently, if he dies before cleansing the shrine, you forfeit any potential reward, but you're able to move on with the main quest.
This will not go unnoticed.
Death in the name of my hunt. Sorry, friend. Actually, I'm not sorry. I shouldn't lie to you. I did kill you that one time. The last thing to do before Bam Zam Shend unleashes a bunch of fabricants onto the city is to get the mazed band for Amalexia. Milkbone. We give Amalexia the ring, wait a day, and uh-oh, the city's under attack. We'll let the guards deal with them. I'm busy being not a werewolf right now. We report back to Fedris, who tells us to return to the site of the attack and descend into the caverns that the fabricants came out of. And now we're in Bam Zam Shend. We enter Radek's forge, grab his key, unlock the door, steal some satchel charges, blow up the first pile of debris, blow up the second pile of debris, and head all the way down to the room where we would usually kill Kashti Drur for Pyroil Tar. We don't have to kill everything in here, we don't have to kill anything in here, but a werewolf's gotta give in to his primal urges from time to time. Wow. You'd think, of all Dremora, Kashti wouldn't have a flight value, but it seems he does. Coasted through his entire Daedric existence without an ounce of conflict, that as soon as it reared its furry head, he panicked. He must be a military recruiter. That joke has zero foundation. It's just a thing I said. It's not even based on a vague stereotype. It does not track. So where else is there to go in here? No doors in sight? Ah, but what if werewolves could fly? Well, they can't. You'll have to settle for flying Khajiit. Remember that kid's book, Cat Wings, about the cats with wings? Yeah, I don't remember what it was about, but I remember it was a book that I had to do a book report on in like 2nd grade. I'm a dog now. I don't know if there's enemies through here, so I became a dog. There's a strange assortment of loot down here, and it's dark, but Khajiit have Night Eye. Oh, would you look at that? An entire farm of the exact mushrooms Ajira and Balmora wants. Interesting. But no hyphophagia. A Dwemer battle axe with soul trap on it though. I don't think that would work as a substitute. Mushrooms can be finicky in a recipe. I assume. Mushrooms ain't really my thing. This one tastes like dirt, but this one tastes like dirt, and you can feel the gills on your tongue. Yum. Anyone who can't help but put mushrooms in every dish, and yes, I'm talking to you, well, you just keep on keeping on because taste is subjective. Alright, meaningless tangent aside, the 2 pieces of Daedric equipment down here in this cavern are ridiculously hard to find. We're looking for black armor on gray rocks. There's Pyroil Tar down here though, if you don't want to fight Kashti for it for some reason. And here you go. Oh, well that's the left shoulder pad. Oh my god, I've been looking around for like 15 minutes. The chest plate is right here. You see how impossible, it looks like part of the rock, as if chucking it in this cave didn't make it hard enough. Talk about a hunt. All that's left is the helmet, but there's 3 of them. The Face of Terror, the Face of God, and the Face of Inspiration. Which one does Hircine want? Who knows? Let's get all 3. Face of Terror is up first. It's in the Forgotten Vaults of Anudnabia within a Daedric ruin east of Sadrath Mora, but it's sealed, and we can only enter through a crumbled wall inside the Omaran Ancestral Tomb. On the outside, it seems like a regular old tomb, but it's full of Daedra, not spirits. Although I guess Daedra are spirits, but they're not ancestor spirits, both because they're Daedra, which means they're not our ancestors, because Daedra means not our ancestors, but they're also not ancestor spirits that would be in an ancestral tomb, because Dunmer aren't descended from. When you reach the far end of the tomb, you find an opening. At the bottom of this ravine is a single Frost Atronach standing guard. Who put it here? What's it protecting? Who can say? Claws rip through it all the same. The ground here is really cool though. Certainly adds to the atmosphere. This Atronach's been here for a long time. A level 85 lock. One of the reasons I borrowed the skeleton key from Jim Stacy. I had to revert back to a dog because the door kept doing too much damage to my weak Khajiit flesh. And we're here in another forge, the Forge of Hilbungard. And no, that chest is not glitched. It's supposed to float there because inside is Skull Crusher. Oh, a hammer with 15 points of weight and 15 points of feather and 5 points of attack. It's a shame conjured weapons are superior in all ways. Neat though, but not why we're here. Instead, atop these Daedric stone ribs is the treasure we've been hunting. No, not the drummer flying boots. You know werewolves can't wear enchanted gear, also because she'd have weird feet. Ah, here it is. The Daedric Helm of Terror. One more prize for Lord Hircine. We're off to Tuku Chapal, another dungeon enterable only through an ancestral tomb, the Marvani ancestral tomb. If you speak to Enbioff in the Telvanni canton of Vivek, he'll tell you about an outlaw named Olmgerd. Olmgerd. Well, that's a vintage meme. Oh, I wonder where that girl is now. Anyway, Enbioff can give you a key if you give him some Mazte, but I didn't know about that at the time, and I'm only learning about it now while I'm reading the UESP article about this dungeon. Key would have been useful since werewolves can use keys, but I'll have to settle with waiting and transforming back and forth between cat and dog. Oh wow. They just hide these interesting as hell dungeons behind random side quests. Man, what I'd do for Dwemer Ruins to be more like this. Say what you will about Skyrim's dungeons being unrealistic and formulaic because they loop back on themselves and you don't have to backtrack through the entire dungeon. But a lot of them had this feel, especially the big Dwemer Ruins. I love Skyrim's Dwemer Ruins. Maybe it's the aesthetic that does a lot of the heavy lifting, but man is it a cool aesthetic. Whoa! Why is this such an obscure location? This place is awesome. What the hell? What's the story here? How'd this boat get here? And look at all this loot. Ebony sword, ebony staff, gems, hundreds of gold. I'm kinda mad. If I weren't making this video, which, let's be honest, is a pretty tenuous idea, I never would have come here. As far as I'm aware, this place has no other quests associated with it. You get sent to the Forge of Hilbengard while doing the Imperial Cult quests, so you'll run into it if you do faction quests. This place, a random Nord tells you to come here if you give him some Mazte. This game's so cool. Here's where we find the Daedric Face of God. And a Daedric Warhammer. Last Helm is in Mamaea. I've explored this place on my own before since it's 1, out in the open east of Nissus, and 2, Hasaur Zain Subani, a main quest guy, sends you here to find his son. Not that subtle of a side quest. It's a weird looking cave system made of what looks like a bunch of white sand. It's like finding an air pocket under a desert in Minecraft. There's a lot of low-level locked doors in this place, so our best bet is to run through as a cat, unlocking everything first, then sweeping through as a werewolf to clear the path to the final room where we can claim the final piece of our hunt. This place is full of dreamers and ash slaves. You'd think the final boss would be a noodle snood or an ash vampire, but no, it's just some lady. She's not even using a powerful weapon. She's not wearing powerful armor. It's just her. All the good loot is in the coffin right here. The Fang of Hanek Tanamet, an item you can sell to the Tribunal Museum, and the Daedric Face of Inspiration.
You've done well, my hound. With my servant restored, he is now fit to endure the punishment I have devised. He shall act as quarry for the whelps, that they may sharpen their claws and their wit upon the armor you have gathered. As a gesture of my favor, I bestow upon you this.
Well, could be worse. It could be raining.